Hello, 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 and welcome to Nana's Crochet Ideas. I am your host, Terry, and today we're going to talk about the knit and crochet blanket. But before we do, I want to make a quick announcement, and that is that Lottie and I will be having a live on Monday that will be at 3 o'clock Pacific time, 5 o'clock Central time, and there will be no topic. It will be just a random let's all crochet and or knit together and spend some time together. So that again is going to be on Monday. I do not have my calendar. One day I will be better prepared, but it is this coming Monday, and it's going to be at 3 Pacific time and 5 Central time. So we hope to see you there. And let's get on with the subject at now. For those of you who are not aware, I decided to combine the two into one blanket and see if I could do it. So I went like 6 months without working on it because my daughter was supposed to help me with it. She wanted to participate in the project and do some, and she only knows how to crochet. So I gave her a section, and she didn't like working with the yarn, so she kept putting it off. And I finally got to the place where I said, I'm just going to do it because I can't just keep waiting. I like to start a project, get it done, and be done with it rather than just let it go on for months and months and months. Drives me crazy. So, the blanket is not complete yet. It's not a finished object. And I don't know if I'm going to finish it. So this is the blanket. Let's see, is this the right side? Let me take my ring off because it always pulls the yarn. So this is my blanket. So the orange is starting to do a crochet section, and then the section below, of course, is knit. The blue is knit. And then the pink is crocheted. The variegated is knit. The next pink is crocheted. The blue is knit. The orange crocheted. The variegated is knit. Crochet again in green, knit in yellow, and then the purple is crochet. So the hardest part about doing this blanket was trying to go from the crocheted section to the knit section. I did figure out a way to do it. At the end of this video, I will do a little clip, very short clip, on how I went from the knit to the crochet and how I went from the crochet to the knit. I didn't spend a lot of time on it because I'm not trying to teach you how to do it. I just was showing you how I did it. I believe I say this in the video, but you need to keep in mind that I am not saying this is the only way to do it. I am not even saying this is the best way to do it. I'm simply saying this is how I did it. Now, when I went from the, let me show you on the back. When I went from the crochet to the knit, I ended up with this ridge here. Now, for anybody out there who knows how to do this, who knows how to take your crochet project and turn it into adding knitting on, please let me know if you know of a better way, because this, although I think it turned out nice, I don't think that there's any major gaps in the blanket. It's a smooth transition all the way along. But it was extremely time consuming to go from the crochet to the knit. Now the reason I say I may not finish this blanket is because I made a huge mistake. I counted my stitches all along, so I know that it is not a stitch error that caused this, and I did not notice it until So the mistake is made in this pink section here. So I've got this large knit section, then I went back to pink. The mistake is made in the pink, and then I went to blue, and then I went to orange. Now, the knit is always a little bit looser, but not as significantly enough that I felt like it would. If I put a border on around it, it wouldn't show up. But when I got to the knit section and I counted the stitches, they were correct. It was like ruffling on me. And I was just putting one stitch in each stitch. So it caused me to stop and look back at the blanket. So I will show you, let me put in a picture right here of what my blanket looks like right now. Okay, so here it is. So you can see that it looks like at this large variegated knit section that it goes in a little. In fact, it did not. Because of the stitch that I did, the sides are curling under, so that makes it look like it's a little bit smaller in that section. But when I got to the pink section, because it had been so long since I worked on the blanket, and because I was using my Lither hooks, which I love, I had taken the hook and put it away instead of leaving it with the project, which is what I generally do. So when I came back to do the pink section in crochet, I used the wrong hook size. So instead of using a 5mm, I used a 4mm. Now I didn't notice it as I was doing my crochet section, and I didn't really notice it in the knit section. But when I got back to crochet and I used the orange, I did. And I actually did the entire orange section and frogged it. But then I realized I'd have to frog the knitting section, and then I'd have to frog, where I went from the crochet to the knitting section, and that I didn't really want to do. So I stopped frogging to try to think if there was some way that I could widen that pink section enough that it wouldn't be noticeable. And at first I thought I probably could. But then once I really started thinking about it, I realized the stitches in the knit section and the stitches in the crochet section were the same number. So there'd be no way to widen the pink section because there'd be no knitting there under it to attach it to. So I cannot. Now this blanket was for my granddaughter. My daughter is not a perfectionist like I am. So she said, it's fine. Nevaeh will love it. It's fine. Go ahead and give it to her like that. So I have the option to go ahead and end it here and give it to her. It's plenty big enough for her. She is just a baby. I made it way too wide to begin with. It's like, I don't know, this wide. So that's way, way too wide. And it's, height-wise, it's still this high, even if I end it now. So it's plenty big enough for her. She loves the colors in it. So I can either frog all the way down to the midsection of the variegated and do it right, or I can give it to her like this and try again later. So I have not decided which I'm going to do yet. I frog a lot because I'm such a perfectionist. I don't want anything leaving my area without it being done properly. But like I said, the going from crochet to knitting is such an enormous amount of work for me, the way I do it, that I don't want to frog it. So I don't know what I'm going to do. But I wanted to give you an update on the blanket, what I've done, and like I said, at the end of this video, I will attach, because I made a really short little clip showing you how I did going from the knit to the crochet and vice versa. So let's do our verse and quote for inspiration and love today. I have to dig in here to get to one. Hold on. Okay. So today's bit of inspiration is, a smile is a curve that sets everything straight. A smile is a curve that sets everything straight. So there you have it for today. May God bless you today and every day. Have a wonderful few days. I will talk to you again next time. And if you want to see how I went from the crochet to knit and knit to crochet, then those little clips will be added right here. All right. Bye, everybody. Thank you. So basically, all I'm going to do is do a double crochet in the stitch as it's on the needle and pull it off. And then do it again. And I do this in each stitch as I pull it off the needle. Now, I'm not saying that this is the best way or the only way to do it. I'm just showing you the way that I did it, making this blanket, going from knit to crochet. And I'll do another little clip on how to go from the crochet and get the stitches on your needle. It's really very simple. A little time consuming, but not difficult at all. Much easier than going from the crochet to the knit. That is much more time consuming and difficult than this is. And although it looks like I'm really pulling the stitches, stretching the stitches out, my yarn is caught up, that it looks like I'm really pulling the stitch out, it doesn't end up looking like that in the final result, as I will show you when the blanket's done. But that's all I do to get it from the knit into the crochet. I do a double crochet into each stitch as I pull it off the needle. And this has worked well for me. And it's really not a difficult thing to accomplish. So there you go. Okay, hello everyone. I wanted to take a minute to show you how I went from my crocheting to my knitting. Now, I want you to understand, I'm not saying this is the only way or even the best way to do it. I'm just trying to show you how I do it. This is a very tedious process, my way. It is probably not the best way, but it's the way I know how to do it. So what I do is I stick my needles in my stitch, both of them, which, unless I'm really careful, sometimes is too tight to do. And I fumble around a lot trying to do it this way. But it's been working for my blanket, and it seems to work for me, so trying to do it on camera and get it done is a little challenging. But alright, so all I do basically is knit the stitch onto my needle. Okay, then will go into the next stitch here, put the first needle in, get the second needle in, and knit it onto my needle. And that's all I do. It's kind of simple, but it's also kind of challenging because sometimes I do my stitches really tight, and trying to get 2 needles into the stitch is sometimes more difficult than it should be. So if any of you want to try this, so there's my first 3 stitches on my needle. And that's all I do. As I said, I don't know that this is the right way. It's probably not the only way. It's what I came up with, and it seems to work for me. It's very time consuming to do it this way when my stitches are tight. But it accomplishes what I need. It gets my, as you can see, sometimes my stitches are so tight that I just can't get the needle in there. I'm sure somebody could come up with a more creative way of doing it, but this is what I came up with off the top. So that's how I do it when I go from the crochet to the knitting to get the knitting on my needle. So thank you. I will see you again soon.